Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. We are, like we said last show, getting into that dead zone where there's no NFL, NBA, NHL, and the MLB is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we are going to do our best to keep you entertained. First thing on the news board today, if you will, there's some trades going on in the NBA. First of which, Kristaps Porzingis has been traded to the Boston Celtics in a 3-team trade.
The unicorn.
Is he still considered a unicorn?
Well, I mean, that's what they called him when he was drafted.
So, as the resident Boston fan, what do you think about this?
Well, if we want to start from the very beginning, it was pretty. If you were following NBA trade rumors at 10 p.m. last night, like me,
And all day.
it actually started. It started earlier in the afternoon. The reports were that the Celtics were trading Malcolm Brogdon to. It was a 3-team trade between the Clippers, Celtics, and Wizards. The Clippers would end up getting Malcolm Brogdon. The Celtics would get Kristaps Porzingis, and the Wizards would end up getting Marcus Morris, I believe, and there may have been some draft assets in there as well. That was the rumor, and it was tweeted that it was done deal, but it never got like. It was tweeted that it was a done deal. All the social media posts, like ESPN's, NBA, whatever, what's NBA Network called? I don't know.
NBA TV?
Yeah, NBA TV. Anything that related to sports that would tweet or post on Instagram about something like this did. All the Kristaps Porzingis and Celtics uniform were getting posted, stuff like that. And in the back of my mind, I was like, it's not really official. That would be crazy if it didn't. That would be what happened to the Celtics at this trade, like, combusts, but like it wasn't a real thought. And then it was like 10 o'clock right before I was about to go to bed. It was like the trade. I think Woj tweeted that the trade fell apart. And I was like, well, that sucks. And then he said all teams are backing out of trade talks, which sounds like all teams are backing out of trade talks. Literally 2 minutes later, he
Grizzlies.
tweets. Well, 2 minutes later, Woj tweets, Celtics and Wizards are still going to continue trade talks. I'm like, you could have worded your first tweet a little differently, like the Clippers are now out of the picture or something like that.
They backed out because of Brogdon's injury.
Yeah, well, so yeah, he said that the funny information on that. I don't know if you guys heard, but so I'll get to that in a minute. But Brogdon backed out, or the Clippers backed out because of Brogdon's injury. Assuming they're talking about the ligament he tore in his elbow in the playoffs. So then they ended up. I'm getting into too much detail, wasting time. I'll get to the end. They ended up trading, I think, probably right before midnight because Kristaps had to opt in or not, and he would have became a free agent if he didn't opt into his like $36 million he had. So I woke up this morning, saw that, and to my surprise, Brogdon was no longer part of the deal, but it was Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. My first reaction was like a little bit of heartache, like,
oh,
yeah.
Well, he's the longest tenured Celtic, and I'm not gonna lie, I am one of the fans who, when Marcus Smart, jacks up a 3 or makes a wild pass, I'm like, no, and then sometimes it works. I'm like, oh, thank God, or I'm just like, this is where I say why I can't stand him or something. But I always loved him. I was happy.
You.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, me and you talked about it for years about him deserving more like defensive player of the year recognition. And he finally got that.
He got one, yep.
Yeah. And people were saying today he's the heartbeat of the team and all this stuff. But I personally do think the Celtics are better now than they were. I think I don't think Brogdon's going to be on the team next year. Here's the thing. They pretty much traded. This is pretty much what happened. They traded Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis and 2 first-round picks. It's a pretty good trade.
Yeah, I was about to say, you guys came out top.
Yeah, if Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, which he was last year, and that's a big what if because he hasn't been, but last year he was, so we're going to look at that. He averaged 23 points per game, like 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and I think almost 2 blocks per game. He had a really good year. If you dive deeper, I don't have him in front of me, but I was reading about it today. If you dive deeper into all of his stats, like he was like a top 20 player in the league last year. He just played for the Wizards, who sucked.
Yeah, I just looked at his stats, and I was actually looking through them. I was like, okay, so he arguably had the best year of his career. He was shooting his field goal percentage was basically 50%. He was hitting 35 from 3. He's an 80-plus free throw shooter. Basically 2 blocks, almost a steal per game. Doesn't really turn the ball over. Top echelon player.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was
7
really
for 3.
Yeah, he was really good defensively last year too. And did one of you say right before we started about him being the unicorn? Was that on the show before we started? I can't remember.
I was on the show.
I said it.
Only 5 minutes ago.
So he was the unicorn, and I mean, who's coming into the NBA tonight? The unanimous number 1 pick, Victor Wembanyama.
Some guy, someone I've heard of.
I'm not trying to overreact because the Celtics just traded for Kristaps, but who is probably the most similar player to him coming into the NBA? I'd say probably Kristaps, 7'4", 7'8" wingspan, can shoot, has touch, can move the ball around, has the length and stuff to play defense.
Stay healthy.
The one thing that's funny, Kristaps has a 7'6" wingspan. Wembanyama, is it Yama or Yana?
Wembanyama.
Yeah,
Wembanyama. He has basically an 8-foot wingspan.
Yeah. It's even more. That's what I was saying. I'm not trying to compare.
Face from a mile away.
Literally, that's why we'll get into Wembanyama when we get into draft talk later. But he's going. I said it weeks ago, and I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't know. But he's going to have a defensive impact next year, tomorrow.
So my thing is, Marcus Smart. He was kind of like the soul of that team, but he definitely dropped off this year. Maybe not defensively, but offensively.
I mean, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
You could say it's a little bit of drop off there too.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are they should be 2 very solid 2-way players.
Should?
Well, they're not always doing it on both ends, but they're 2 of the better.
Jason Tatum usually is.
Yeah. Rob Williams, very good defensive player. Horford, he's getting a little bit of old legs. You can find a guard.
I mean, he is old.
You can find guards that you can rotate throughout, especially on a team that's competing for a championship. You can find a defensive guard, and Brogdon in the past was a really good defender. But you can find a guy that can do some, ball handling and play some defense. So now you add Porzingis, who can be that more so traditional centerpiece defender, and he can also stretch the field far better than stretch the court far better than Horford ever could.
Yeah.
Yeah, RJ, I heard you whisper in Pritchard there. I mean, and Taylor, you're not wrong. I mean, what's easier to find? I I'm not saying there's tons of like superstar guards out there. There's not tons of superstars in general. But what are you more likely to find? A 7'4" guy that can shoot, play defense, move pretty well for that size, or a regular guy who's a guard that's like 6'1" to 6'4", 6'5"? I mean, that's, there's more players in that range than there are. I mean, how many 7-footers are there in the NBA? Then how many are there that can move like that? It's not. Yeah. It's a rare thing.
The Celtics have better luck finding guards too. It just seems like you guys do okay when it comes to that department.
Yeah, I mean, most people said leading up to yesterday, the Celtics had too many guards and they needed more front court help. And everybody was happy when they traded Brogdon. Some people I saw weren't happy they traded Brogdon. I personally would have rather have kept Marcus Smart than Brogdon, but I think we probably talked about it when the season was over. They were probably going to move Smart or Brogdon because I think Derek White had too good of a year, and Missoula seems to like him, and I would say he's the most consistent, and he was a good shooter this year, and he was an All NBA defender.
He's going to fix that hairline.
No, he can't fix that. Just it's pretty bad. He wears the stupid headband and then it like flattens it. He's probably been doing that since he was 16. Nobody went to his defense and be like, "You're probably gonna mess up your hairline."
It's just like those streamers that are finding the head indent from wearing the headset. He has the same thing. His headband's just pulling his hairline back.
Yeah, I got a little bump in the back of my head too. It's definitely not from wearing headsets because I don't think I've worn headset. Yeah, I just got a misshaped head. little point right there. Probably got dropped as a baby.
Got a misshaped head.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall I like the trade. I do think I don't love a Derek White Brogdon starting backcourt. So I do think they need to make another move, which they got 2 first-round draft picks from the trade last night. Now they have 3 in the next 2 years.
Well, technically they wouldn't be starting because Jaylen Brown still runs at the 2 sometimes, right? Because you got Jaylen Brown.
With Missoula, Brown plays the 4 of the 3 a lot. Tatum plays the 4.
Yeah, but you bring in Porzingis with Rob Williams though. So
my only question about if they do Rob Williams and Porzingis is I don't know if they'll do that because Porzingis I think is better at the 4, and Rob Williams is also better at the 4.
I think Porzingis is fine at the 5.
I think defensively though he's not going to be able to. I don't know how good he is. I think he's similar to Rob Williams, where he has a little bit more mobility and lateral quickness, but they're both good at that help defense, retreating, blocking shots. I think Horford's really good as that stone wall, take Joel Embiid to the chest defense. I don't know if Porzingis does have way more length.
Just put those arms up, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Porzingis is probably more capable of playing the 5 than Rob Williams, but we'll see what happens. But I won't keep us on the Celtics trade anymore. Overall, I like it, and I think Brad Stevens has been a heck of a GM, and I think he's got another move up his sleeve. Hopefully it happens during the show.
Damian Lillard.
We'll see.
So I was supposed to say that.
I don't know. He didn't want to come to Boston.
We'll suck it up.
I don't want him anyways. We would have to give up Jaylen Brown.
And
I know I said a lot of mean things about Jaylen Brown at the end of the season.
Then you could have kept Marcus Smart.
But Damian Lillard is almost 30. I don't know how I feel about giving up.
These point guards have it easy nowadays. They just shoot threes.
Yeah, well, yeah. We don't need more threes, though. We need more passing.
You need consistent threes.
Yeah. Bruce Brown was in Boston today. He just posted an Instagram picture
of Denver.
Boston, Massachusetts, and then eyeballs, which means nothing. People do that all the time. He could have been there for his mistress or something.
I'm just going there to try some clam chowder.
Yeah, chowder. He could be excited to try to go to Boston, unlike Damian Lillard. But so that means nothing. I've seen a ton of Celtics fans like hoping for Tyrese Halliburton and I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to try, but OKC, SGA, or whatever it is.
Gilgeous Alexander.
Alexander.
Yeah.
I'm my God.
No, they're like, we have no. I've seen multiple tweets of people saying we have 3 first-round draft picks. We can just trade those and get like Halliburton or
OKC already has like 40 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, that's not those are not going to happen.
Wizards got some picks today.
But yeah, let's talk about the Wizards.
All right. So the first thing, it's a little late, but Bradley Beal gets traded to the Suns for point guard Chris Paul.
And picks. And tons of picks.
And picks.
4 first-round swaps and 6 second-round picks.
So my thing is, we'll talk about Bradley Beal first. So we all know Bradley Beal. You know, he's...
Oh, we don't know him.
Well, we know...
We literally just had dinner at his house 2 weeks ago.
We all know Bradley Beal. He's a good guy.
Bradley Beal
does watch our show every week.
Fan of the show. We don't know what he is. He's an electric scoring guard. He goes to the Suns, so now the Suns have 3 really good shooters.
That's all they have. There's literally no one else on our roster.
DeAndre Ayton.
Well, especially he's apparently going to get traded though.
DeAndre Ayton is the meme of the kid disappearing.
Jesus.
But my thing is, like, I think the only way the Suns thing works is if Bradley Beal just takes that OKC James Harden role and just says, I'm just going to cook number 2s for the whole year. I'm just going to come off the bench, drop like 24 off the bench, and just destroy second teams.
Who are they going to put in?
That ain't Bradley Beal's role.
They have no one to play. They really are probably not going to have a bench this year. They're just going to have to go 5.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He has to be the 6. He has to be the 6th goat.
Well, the OKC back then they had Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, Russell Westbrook, Kendrick Perkins,
Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka.
Oh yeah, Serge Ibaka. So
and they had
did Jeff Green start?
And they had point guard that he was on the Pistons. Jackson.
I think Perkins was on the bench.
Reggie Jackson. That may have been a little after.
Yeah, because Reggie
he was on OKC, but I don't know if he was with that core.
Reggie Jackson.
I thought he came after that.
He's the reason why they put James Harden on the bench.
He's the reason why I love the NBA.
Not Reggie Jackson. It wouldn't make sense.
You were right. 2011 and 12 for 1 year.
What a coincidence.
I think Harden left in 2012.
Yeah, this year Harden won that 6-man.
Reggie Jackson averaged 3 points a game. He was irrelevant.
What's his minutes? How
did you remember that? 11?
I'm a basketball connoisseur.
Oh, yeah. Apparently.
Well, okay, maybe I wasn't exactly factual, but listen, they got Booker and Durant. You trade Ayton for 2 pieces. You can find a big man on the street. No one really cares about centers these days unless you have one of the top 3.
That goes against everything we just talked about.
Literally.
Well, I'm not. When you have KD and
you can get guards anywhere on the street. It's all about the centers and Porzingis. 10 minutes later, you can get a center off the street.
Get him anywhere.
I was the one saying it, but it's funny.
We're all great.
Well, Porzingis is a top 20-ish player. I'm not talking about getting him.
If he's like a Porzingis or a Jokic or Embiid,
just getting a big body, and then you have Beal be your whole second lineup and just let him cook.
I don't see it happening though.
Because at the end of the day, if you have all 3 of them starting, only one can shoot at a time. You can't shoot 3 balls in possession.
They'll be like, "You want to bet?"
Your theory is interesting, but it's a theory and it's not going to happen.
Yes,
we'll see.
Sound logic.
Here's the problem with that theory. James Harden wasn't getting paid a supermax
at the time
when he was coming off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Bradley Beal is not taking no bench role.
Now, if you're saying you literally just want him to come off the bench to start the game and then cook the second unit for like the second portion of the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter, and then it'll eventually fit back into the starting rotation, maybe that'll work.
But as a strategy, they'll easily pick apart.
I'm just saying.
If it does happen, we'll come back and we'll say you're a genius.
Listen, I'm just saying. In the NFL, back in the day, teams would have two good running backs, and they just have them both on the field, and they'd rotate playing fullback and running back. And then one day they realized we can find any Joe Schmo to play fullback, and then we can have fresh legs all game.
But Bradley Beal's not any Joe Schmo. He's getting paid $100 or $200 million a year.
You didn't listen to my analogy.
Schmo Joe.
No. Back in the 80s, NFL teams would have two good running backs, and they would just
one would play fullback, one would play running back, and they rotate.
And I'm not saying Bradley Beal is the random fullback. I'm just saying that's why you have him come on the second lineup.
Taylor,
okay, here's another word.
I'm not down with what you're saying.
When we played 2K and you had your Magic team and you were unbeatable, you did have a good team, but you also had that small forward coming off your bench that would just destroy our backups.
So Daryl Davis Jr.
on a rookie contract, who eventually took over and pushed Daryl Wright off the
Daryl
team.
Davis and Daryl Davis left you for the Celtics. Don't even act like you pushed him off the team. He left you.
if the Suns are hoisting up a championship at the end of the season, no one cares that they paid $40 million for Bradley Beal to be the sixth man of the year.
I know, you're right. I agree. I'm just saying I don't think Bradley Beal would do that.
Yeah, that was my first point. Bradley Beal ain't coming off the bench.
If I was going to make anybody come off the bench, I would make Kevin Durant come off the bench because he's older and he needs to rest some legs.
Especially them legs.
Easy money sniper
off
with
the
bench. Second unit.
With the second unit. Second in command.
We'll see. I think the key for the Suns is trading DeAndre Ayton and hoping they get a nice little return.
They should be trading Ayton. They've had mixed emotions on him.
Yeah. Now, what about the Wizards side of this here trade? Initially getting Chris Paul, just to then trade him today.
So the Wizards, they get Chris Paul and picks. It's clearly all about the picks because they don't care no one cares about Chris Paul. He's 38 years old. He's coming off a year where he put up 13, 4, and 8 on a pretty loaded team. Injuries are stacking up. His games played actually aren't bad, but I feel like he's just always banged up. And like we all had said, he was just going to get flipped. And then, RJ, what's the trade that he got announced for today?
The Wizards traded Jordan Poole and picks for Chris Paul. So Jordan Poole, I didn't, until I think 10 minutes before the trade, I got my first update that they were even shopping him. I didn't know. I feel, especially if Draymond even coming back? I thought he was leaving.
Rumor is he's going to go to Dallas.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, he opted out of his contract, so he's a free agent right now.
So what they're going to have, they're going to trade for Chris Paul and get a point guard, a 30-year-old point guard, to come off the bench, or to put Steph at the 2 now and have him play the 1? Did they really need somebody who's a facilitator? I don't know what the Warriors are thinking.
Yeah, if we can go right back to Taylor's strategy, that would make sense with this squad, with Chris Paul coming off the bench. Jordan Poole came off the bench the year before last year, and he was a good spark plug, and they won the championship. Last year he was pretty erratic as a starter, even though his in the regular season he put up good stats. I think he averaged 20 points a game, but completely disappeared in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know. If I could have, I didn't guess Chris Paul would have gone to the Warriors, but if I had to have been like, that's a weird trade, but I'm not surprised at all. It's the Warriors because,
I
They
still
had
get
Kevin-
it.
They had Kevin Durant.
No.
They added Kevin Durant to a 72-win team. That made no sense at the time.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, I know they probably didn't want to extend Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole, he averaged
Like 20 at least.
20
Good
points
points.
a game on
Yeah.
30 minutes on pretty solid shooting percentages. And he's also dishing out 4.5 assists a game. My thing with Chris Paul coming to be like Chris Paul, like Steph Curry holds the ball so much that like Chris Paul's never really been a spot up shooter.
I personally would. The Warriors championship window is not open that much longer, especially if they lose Draymond Green. None of us here are that big of fans of Draymond Green, but they have won champions with him, and he fits on that team.
Mhm.
I think they're a champion. I think they have a better chance winning next year with some kind of coaching lineup decision Steve Kerr decides on with Chris Paul than just sticking with the same unit minus Draymond Green. And I mean, people talk about Tatum and Brown's skill set being redundant. Well, I mean, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole. That's a lot of shooting, and they're all smaller guards. Klay Thompson at one point was a really good defender, but he's dealt with injuries over the last couple of years. He's not the same altogether. Jordan Poole is a non-factor on defense, and Steph Curry's not that great at defense either. Chris Paul is actually,
Steph Curry's non-factor. I could blow by him.
Yeah, okay. And then Chris Paul is, I mean, he's older too now, but I think he's, I don't know what he averages for his career with steals, but I mean, he's got that, people call him a bulldog throughout his career. He's nasty and he'll do what he needs to do to win as long as he doesn't get injured. That's really his biggest flaw, is that he hasn't made it to the finals and he gets injured in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's injured when it counts most.
It's his best chance to win a championship, though.
If he wins a championship with the Warriors, I'll roundhouse him.
Yeah, did you guys see that? What kids say to his daughter at school? Your daddy ain't never gonna get a ring or whatever, like shit like that. It's like, damn, dude, it's
terrible.
Fucking savages.
So my only thought process is with the Warriors, if they keep him, Wiseman's never really lived up to his potential.
Chris Paul, no shot on that team.
Chris Paul could legitimately run some pick and roll games with him and get him attacking the rim. And I'm not saying that like other players on the Warriors couldn't do that, but Chris Paul has made a career out of making big men better.
Andrew Wiggins has been doing better too. Keep him.
So now you can have Steph and Klay Thompson, doing their thing on the perimeter, and then you throw in Chris Paul is getting Wiseman easy buckets and getting him motivated to play. And now you do have that. For whatever reason, they've always been lucky with random bigs putting up numbers for him. But if Wiseman reaches his potential, that's a dimension that they've never really had.
Good point.
Yeah, you're not wrong in everything you say. I don't know. I don't know go ahead.
I was just saying the Wizards get Jordan Poole. It's like something they could build around since they're clearly in rebuild mode, getting all these picks, trading away everybody.
Yeah, and Jordan Poole is a big contract too. I was surprised they took on him. But I mean they're going to take on his contract. I guess might as well. I was looking up Wiseman. Wait a minute. I knew it. Wiseman's not on Golden State anymore. Retract.
Looney. It's about Looney. Think about Looney.
No, he meant Wiseman. He got traded to Detroit this season.
Whoops.
That's all right. He wasn't that relevant on the Warriors, so easily to forget. He played 21 games for the Warriors, started 0, and then he was traded to Detroit. I was thinking in the back of my mind if he was still there, and I was like, was that just rumors this offseason, or did that actually happen?
Well, the same thing goes. Chris Paul can get the bigs more into the game.
Yep. It's a fact, Jack. Go ahead.
And the thing with Jordan Poole going to the Wizards, so at the end of the day, all that matters is the Wizards just stockpiled tons of draft picks. Hopefully they get some good draft luck in the future. Because I'm pretty sure this year's lottery, they fell pretty far. But who's to say Jordan Poole as the central point of your offense getting 35 plus minutes a game, that he can't give you close to what Bradley Beal is giving you. And then so you get Bradley Beal light on a cheaper deal, and you get way more draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Poole doesn't matter to me. The draft picks are important. They're obviously, going into tank. They're going into tank mode. From what I understand, next year's NBA draft is going to be pretty weak, so it's not the best time to tank. It would have been last year. Try to get Wembanyama. This
past year.
But they do have they essentially have the Suns' first picks in 2024, 26, 28, and 2030. The Suns have a ton of assets money-wise into pretty much 3 players. Kevin Durant's on the wrong side of 30. Bradley Beal, I think he's like 29, 28. And Booker's, I think, like 26 or 27. So by 2028, 2030, most likely they're not going to be that good. So it could turn out good for the Wizards. They could be bad and have their own picks, and they could have other teams' picks. So
very true. Well,
and maybe they hit on maybe tonight. It's not like
Jokic was a 41st overall pick.
Exactly. It's more rare in the NBA, but Jimmy Butler wasn't a high pick. Jokic wasn't a high pick. I mean, you look all over the NBA, there's guys that weren't high picks.
Wasn't Giannis like the 15th or 16th pick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
And then
if you look at the NBA right now, right now over the last 10 years, and you look at the number 1 overall picks, like the top 3 picks, I bet you there's only a few guys that are like the top of their draft class. Like Tatum was the 3rd overall pick. He's probably the best player in that draft class. Steph Curry wasn't a top 5 pick. I'm trying to think of people recently. Was Luka a top 3 pick?
He was
Trae Young.
4.
I think I thought it was 5th.
Trae Young was 1st, right?
No, he was 2nd, I think. Wasn't that the year that
Dallas and
Luke?
Atlanta drafted Luka and traded him to Dallas.
Yeah. Who was the first? Was that the DeAndre Ayton draft?
I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Ayton went first. Luka went. It went Ayton, Marvin Bagley to the Kings, then Luka.
Where is he?
Then Jaren Jackson, then Trae Young, and then the Mavericks and the Hawks flip flopped.
So there you go.
Then it was Mo Bamba.
That's a pretty good draft, except for Bagley. Bagley, I'm just curious where he's at. I knew he was on Sacramento. He's on Detroit now. Yeah, 12 points a game, only 6 rebounds. It frustrates me so much when guys are like 6'11" and they average 6 rebounds. Not even 1 block a game. Trash. But I think overall, I think the Wizards are doing the right thing, moving on. I don't understand. They may have had some front office turnover. I'm not sure. I don't know. but they just signed Bradley Beal last offseason to a supermax no trade clause, and then this year you're like, let's dump him. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Did you really think you had a chance to like win a championship last year with him and Kristaps? Like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. That was weird to me because he's been on the rumor, in the rumors for trade for several years now, and then they signed him to a supermax. And also, him himself, like, did you really think you were going to stick around for the Wizards?
I'm going to get paid.
Off topic, I was watching Kristaps highlights because he's Celtics now, so of course I am. The Wizards multiple times this year wore their previous jerseys from like the mid 2000s, the Gilbert Arenas jerseys, the Michael Jordan jerseys from early 2000s. Great jerseys. They need to bring those back. Like, the Caps look great in the current jerseys, the red, white, and blue. The Wizards, blue and white, and those gold alternates, they need to bring those back.
They brought them back this year.
Yeah, as like an alternate jersey. That's what I was saying. I was watching Kristaps highlights, and it looked those uniforms look great.
Yeah, they need to keep them more often. I got you.
And it makes more sense for the Wizards. You should have changed their name.
Yeah, I don't like
the Capitals are the Capitals, and they're in, the red, white, and blue. Fine, makes sense.
I didn't like the red, white, and blue change. It makes no sense. Yeah,
I think they changed it so it'd be easy because I could be mistaken. They share the same arena, right?
Yeah.
So it's easier to decorate if they're both red, white, and blue.
Probably.
Cheap bastards. I'm pretty sure their stadium, the chairs and everything aren't even like. I don't remember the colors in the arena. It's just a bland arena.
The arena sucks.
It's not the worst.
It's not the best.
Well, no.
Also, you think NBA is all about trying to make some money. If you have a better throwback jersey, just bring that back as your full-time jersey. Sell the crap out of that jersey and be done with it. Lots of these teams have these throwback jerseys that are way better than what they wear now.
Yeah, I would say the Wizards' old jersey is probably one of the best jerseys in the NBA.
Yeah, I hate that the NBA went to this bland style. All the jerseys are crap.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Nuggets away jerseys, like that weird looking blue. It's like royal blue with red on it. And it's like a random red.
Yeah, they have that burgundy in their colorway now.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. And there's too many random jerseys. Like the Celtics have like this off, like it looks like a Milwaukee Bucks jersey. I hate that jersey. But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, we were slowly getting there, and then we got off topic. NBA draft is tonight, 8 o'clock. We all know the Spurs lucked out. Some may say it was rigged. That's what I think the smart people would say. So they're obviously going to go ahead and draft Victor Wembanyama, the 7-foot freak out of France. He's going to have some cool... Does he have a nickname yet?
I'm sure he does.
Can't be the freak. Giannis has it. Rudy Gobert already has the Stifle Tower. The French freak.
I don't think that would pass.
The French phenom.
Wemby.
That's trash.
Well, that's what people have been calling him.
How about we call him Wemby?
Why Wemby? Because of France?
He's French. he's a French Wemby.
He's France and he's Flance.
He's Flance. Flance.
Hang on. Can I look up? Am I allowed to say like what people say on Reddit?
Yeah.
As long as it didn't come out of your mouth.
The Rifle Tower.
I like that one.
I know.
The Wemby. Stifle Tower. That's
Rudy Gobert's.
Yeah, it's Rudy Gobert. Papa Wemba.
Well, Papa Pick.
The French wench.
I'm with it. I like it. French wench goes up for a dunk.
Let me find. This is stupid. Victorious B.I.G.
You
All
know,
right, I'm
Miami's
just gonna leave
big.
it off of this one. Whoever said this, Reddit's just this was the worst mistake I've made in this whole podcast. This is the last one I'm gonna say. Bang ya mama.
I thought he was French, not from West Virginia.
I'm waiting
Okay, let's
for
move on. Let's
Charles
move on from
Barkley to say that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Hey, bite the basketball.
What are you,
So-
Shaq?
Either
That was a
one.
great Shaq impersonation. I'll let you just say that was Shaq. Right now, say that was a Shaq impersonation.
It was definitely Shaq, duh.
Okay, it's very good.
Shacked into fool.
So, all right. So, Wembanyama, he's the biggest prospect since LeBron. What we say?
Figuratively and literally. Not literally, but tall.
Since Andrew Wiggins.
No.
We got
Oh,
into that
yeah.
argument a couple
Yeah, I
months
know.
ago.
He still was hyped.
We've talked about Wembanyama and analyzed him on this show already. I mean, he's gonna start right away. I think we talked about when we talked about him before. I think the Spurs will probably. People keep saying he's gonna get bullied by centers and stuff in the league. He shouldn't be playing center on defense. Why would you put him on defending Joel Embiid or any of those guys one-on-one? He shouldn't do that. The Spurs should get one to preserve his health. Why? Because they're probably not going to make the playoffs. Two, he's long, but he's still skinny. They need to get a big bruising center, I think, to start with him and let him kind of coast and be that, that safety type of. I said similar to what the Celtics do with Rob Williams, have him he didn't start this year, but when they used to start him and Al Horford, Rob would defend somebody on the three, and he would come down and help with, clearing the paint, blocking shots and stuff. Wembanyama can do that plus 100%. They were talking about him on ESPN today. What's the one guy's name that was with him in France? Wendy.
Someone was with him in France?
Yeah, the ESPN guy. Why don't we know his name?
I don't really watch ESPN anymore. I watch Strictly No Interference.
This is really annoying that I don't know his name off the top of my head. Whatever. Anyways, apparently his hands are from here to the tip of his middle finger is a foot.
Sounds about average.
He has an 8-foot wingspan, like you said earlier. He has a 12-inch hand. If you've seen his highlights, he can pretty much block people. He can be in the paint and block a 3-point attempt, and then he can be taking a three, and he can be on the three, and he can miss his own shot and dunk it after shooting a three. Nobody can do that. So I don't know. I don't think he's gonna average a ton of points or rebounds. I think he's probably gonna average over 2 blocks a game. My guess is that he'll be between 12 to 14, 15 points, maybe 6 to 8 rebounds, but I think he's gonna have over 2 blocks. I just think
you don't think he's going to average more boards?
No, because I think the position he's going to play, I think they're going to want to keep him out of banging with the big guys.
Well, my thing is, I just think there's a lack of good rebounders in the league right now, which is why you have some of these centers which put up just ungodly rebound numbers. You look at other ones and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but
I think because of his height and reach alone, he doesn't have to be right there in the heat of the basket, heat of the paint, but just pop in there, grab a board.
Well, I mean, if you look at the rebound leaders for this year, it was Anthony Davis, Jokic, Looney, Rudy Gobert, Sabonis. This isn't right. God, stupid playoffs. It was Sabonis. This is pathetic. Jokic, Giannis, Rudy Gobert. This isn't helping my case I was going to make. You might be right. He might average more. I just think they're going to try to keep, he can come in and grab boards. I don't know. Maybe 8. If he
Yeah.
does average more than 10, then he is just a freak.
I think the biggest thing with him is, I mean, he's like, I think they measured him at like 235, so he has weight to him. It's more than I thought he was going to weigh. But I mean, there's a video of what's his name, Kenneth Lofton, that like two-way G League power forward that plays for the Grizzlies, just bullying him in the paint. And Kenneth Lofton's like 6'7", so that's a little bit of concern. But my thing is, I think for Wembanyama to be a superstar, he's got to develop his post game. I'm not saying his post game is bad, but if he gets like an elite post game, that's when I think he would become like a superstar.
You don't think he can become a superstar without a post game?
I think it would help him exponentially because he can shoot and he can move, but I think if he can get that post game, it'll just be easy buckets.
Well, that's my argument would be is he's so tall and he is like such a freak that I don't know if he's going to need that much post skill. Like I don't think it's going to be that much to develop.
I'm talking about take him to being one of the best scorers in the league.
Yeah.
That post game.
I just think his impact that I think he can have on the game is I think he can probably be like a perennial. I think he has the capability of being a perennial defensive player of the year. Especially once he has said it that he's talked about lifting weights and that's not like a priority for him. And apparently he has all this like special treatment where they do like feet workouts with him and he takes a very professional approach, which is probably good that he came from Europe because he's been playing with, grown men. He didn't go to college, and play basketball at a university and party and stuff. So,
oh God, as soon as he gets exposed to that lifestyle, it's over.
Well, not in San Antonio. It's a good. Popovich won't allow it.
Walks in the locker room, someone throws him a brewski.
His first day, Popovich. But yeah, I think he's gonna be arguably one of the best defending talents in the NBA. And then, I mean, just from his sheer size and the scoring ability he does have, we'll see if I think from day one he'll be one of the best defenders in the league. I think he has that much of an impact just from his size and his range. He could grow into a Kevin Durant type scorer possibly, but Kevin Durant's easy money sniper.
I mean, would we just say like just be Anthony Davis without being made out of glass?
He'll be better than Anthony Davis.
All right. Healthy Anthony Davis is an elite talent.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if he is Anthony Davis, he's like he's a half foot taller and has like a half foot more wingspan. So yeah, if he is Anthony Davis, he'll be better than Anthony Davis just because of his size. If Anthony Davis at his size averages 2 blocks, Wembanyama will average 3.5 blocks. Anthony Davis averaged 12 rebounds. Wembanyama will average 14. But yeah,
Just become
Obviously,
the next Hakeem Olajuwon. Footwork, blocking.
Hakeem the Dream. I mean, he has that kind of footwork. I'm gonna check really quick if there's any news on the draft front, like trades or anything. Because what do we got? We got besides Wembanyama, he's obviously going to the Spurs, number one. That would be the greatest fail in sports history if he doesn't go number one or if they trade. But Charlotte's number two. Apparently, they are torn between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. And then Trailblazers at number three. Apparently, they really like Scoot Henderson.
So the thing, I think if the Grizzlies, not the Grizzlies, who has the number 2 pick?
Charlotte.
I think if Brandon Miller fits better. He's a 6'9", 3 and drive type player that would fit well alongside Ball. But Scoot Henderson, he's a 6'2" guard coming from the G League, and he's really explosive, like freak athlete. He wants to go push and transition, which is great. And in the G League, he put up 16 points, 6 assists, 5 boards. I just think if the franchise is going to be built around Ball, then give him a wing that complements his game. Don't get him another guard that wants the ball in his hands just as much as he does.
I'd agree. I think Brandon Miller would be the better fit for Charlotte. Scoot Henderson doesn't really have a shot right now. I mean, Scoot Henderson might be the overall better player, but he doesn't really have a polished shot. Brandon Miller does. Like you said, he's rangy. He can probably come in and he's probably light. I don't know what his weight is off the top of my head, but he can probably Brandon Miller.
I think he's like 200, 205.
Yeah, but just from his length alone, he can probably defend multiple positions.
Yeah, and he fits that mold of, offensive wing. Like, he could develop into Paul George type. That would be what you hope for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Scoot Henderson could be, I don't know, name a explosive point guard.
Ja Morant.
Hopefully.
But I don't think he's on that level though. He's not Ja Morant's like legit elite, one of one athletic. Henderson's a freak athlete, but he's not on that level.
Yeah, I think either one of them will. I think they'll both turn out to be good players, but yeah, overall, I'd be surprised if Charlotte, because of LaMelo Ball, I'd be surprised if Charlotte went with Scoot Henderson, and then I think the Trailblazers would jump all over that, unless there's some kind of trade that happens tonight, which I doubt too. I mean, Damian Lillard's still on Portland as of now. He says he doesn't want to wait around and play with young players and wait for them to develop. He wants to win now. So, I mean, the Trailblazers could take a player and then trade him tonight or whatever. Or
I think
they take him and then they trade Dame.
I think it's very likely that the Trailblazers will draft Scoot and then trade Dame. To who? I don't know.
We'll have plenty of suitors. I'm afraid of Damian Lillard going to the Miami Heat.
I mean, that would help them potentially finally get over the hump, but I'm just sick of all these players just, I don't want to play here anymore. Let me go join the
in Damian Lillard's defense, he's he's talked about loyalty for years now and not wanting to do that and stick around. And he has stuck around longer than anybody else has. Superstars with that talent staying with the Trailblazers.
Dishonor on him, dishonor on his family.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been there for like 10 years.
So if they make it 14 and
They
retire.
haven't been able to get him any help. They got CJ
He wants a
McCollum.
ring.
They got CJ McCollum. They had Hassan Whiteside.
I don't even know if they got him. They may have drafted.
Okay,
They drafted him,
CJ
yeah.
McCollum.
Hassan Whiteside.
Remember what
He's on
Matthews?
Trailblazers.
Matthews was his other guy.
He wasn't
Yeah,
good.
Wesley
Wesley
Matthews. Like they've had rosters. Just Dame couldn't get over the hump. You know, if Dame was really that good, he would have put him on his back. We've seen elite
I don't
players
want to
do
go
that.
there.
We've seen elite players.
I'm not a Dame like.
Dame
What's
time.
the word? What's it when you're like all over someone's
Dick
back?
Rider?
Yeah, sure. Lizard dick.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke, people. He
Deal with
did end your Rockets season one year on a buzzer beater.
Okay, and then he was
The
chump
Trailblazers
change.
were in the playoffs on Damian Lillard's back many times.
It's not about getting to the playoffs. It's about going deep in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, he was in the West going up against,
There is a gap. There is a gap between the ringless players. There's the James Hardens, in my opinion, and there's the Chris Pauls. And there's a gap in between them. James Harden, as far as ringlessness, I give him a lot of respect. Chris Paul, I don't know what it is about him. Just doesn't show up in the playoffs. Dame, he's had a few big plays, that shot over Paul George, the shot over Chandler Parsons, but
I think Paul George had to rethink his whole life after that shot.
Paul George.
Yeah.
You can't even blame him for that. That was just an incredible shot from like 100 feet out.
Should have checked him.
Well, listen, Damian Lillard has averaged over 25 points a game since his third year every year,
hog.
except for the last 2 years ago when he only played in 29 games. Besides that year and last year, he's probably trying to preserve himself. Last year he played 58 games, averaged 32 points. He's been very healthy. His first 7 years in the 7 years in the league, he played at least 73 games. He played over 84 times, played over 75 twice, 73 once. In the last 4 years, he's played 66, 67, 29, 58. So he's been reliable. He can facilitate. He can facilitate. He averages over 7.5 assists a game. He had 8 1 year.
He had 8
But
one year.
He's averaging 28, 30, 25, 26, 32.
James Harden does it in his sleep.
Well, yeah, James Harden's on another level in his prime.
Well, then...
But he didn't win a championship either because he didn't have help.
Well, you know what? Dame should just stick it out and retire in Portland respectively.
I think he's been with Portland for 10 years. He deserves the right by now.
If he wins a ring if he goes to the Heat and wins a ring, I don't respect it.
He was fair about it too. He said, I either want to be traded or I need more help, which I think is fair. I mean, Portland, they have... Who's Portland have? They have Jeremy Grant. He's been around for a long time. Yeah, he was good. He's been really good the last 3 years. 22, 19, 20. Anthony Simmons is young. He was good last year. 21 points a game. I don't know. There was a rumor about the Trailblazers trading Anthony Simmons in the 3rd overall pick to the Brooklyn for Mikal Bridges, but Brooklyn said they're not trading Mikal Bridges.
I mean, Brooklyn did pretty well without any stars last year. He was one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, he turned into a star. I think he averaged like 26, 27 a game when they got him.
Mm-hmm.
What about the real star of this draft? Player we didn't talk about.
Who's that?
Grady Dick.
Why are you calling him a star?
I just like the name.
What about the Twins?
They're all right.
One of them might be going to Houston.
I ain't happy about it.
There is that one guy, Victor Wembanyama's teammate. Can't remember his name, but apparently I heard rumors that the Spurs might try to trade back into around the lottery to take him.
You know how it works.
What's that?
You can't be getting the number 1 pick and then trade back into the lottery. It's not respectable.
They got Papa Pick. They got the OG Papa Pick.
Yeah, we'll see. Draft starts in 2.5 hours. Man, what if the Spurs don't go Wembanyama?
I mean, if we want to talk like, could you like they will obviously, but if they didn't,
Do you think they'd riot in
civilization would probably cease to exist. There'd be a split in the universe. It'd be right on the TV. We'd all get sucked into a black hole, and it would just be Wembanyama standing there with 100-foot long arms swiping us,
holding the universe together?
Yeah. You know in the Eternals when it ended and it like the thing was frozen in the earth halfway coming out? It would be Wembanyama. I don't know who would stop him though.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about today?
RJ?
So let's talk about some Madden NFL 24. They got some big promises out here again. Another year of promises. I think we had mentioned the big change to franchise mode before. It just seems like they're adding a few new features because it's been pushed to the side since people care more about Ultimate Team, apparently. So they're adding stuff like...
What was the big news that you sent us?
Well, just in franchise mode alone, they're adding stuff like restructuring contracts. You're allowed to trade more than 3 players now. There's mini games like for practices. I did see a highlight where quarterbacks are wearing a different colored jersey during practice, which is a little more realistic.
They did that last year.
Yeah,
they did that last year. It's not news.
Oh wait, I don't remember seeing. I don't remember seeing.
They did red
practice
jerseys last year.
Yeah, well, they need to bring back the practice jerseys. What else we got?
Yeah,
so because they released a whole new gameplay video and they're talking about a whole new reworked blocking system, and they pointed out how, especially on screens, how you'd see the linemen just missing blocks completely, how it should be smoother and they should be assigned, know where to go, and they're smarter. They know when to hop off of double teams and go to the next level. Wide receivers, they won't be losing their momentum randomly after you throw them a deep ball and let the corner just catch up. There's more animations and smoothness on the pass breakups, tackling while in the air, tackling in general on all parts of the field, jump tackles, gang tackles, pile ups.
So are we gonna finally get the purest version of backbreakers?
Hopefully, because even with fumbles now, they're talking about pile ups. There's hundreds of different fumble recovery stuff. It seems like they put some work into it. We'll see. So have to be the judge of that. And they've also mentioned DBs can't make a play on the ball unless they're actually looking at the ball. And they said that before though. So
I do like
always
some of those
keep your
changes.
Promises if you want to keep your friends.
Yeah, for me it was the blocking. I mean, there's a lot of bullet points. They've redid the whole anatomy of the players. There's actually the skeletal structure they do.
God,
I know it's been terrible for years.
They call it sapient technology.
This guy is 6'5", 280 pounds.
There's literally a picture of
looks like
Quentin Nelson comparison. If you can look at it, you can see how he's actually, because Quentin Nelson is a big guy, but he's not a big old belly like.
Is that him on
fat
the left?
lard. The first
one
by
your thumb.
Yeah, this is last year. and that's the
on
new
right.
one.
The new one looks like a picture.
Yeah, it looks like actually him. And they showed with players like was it Dexter Lawrence on the Giants defensive tackle, how he looks in Madden. He looks like a big old offensive lineman out there, but really he's
He
he's
looks like
thick.
a sumo wrestler.
Yeah, but he's not a sumo wrestler in real life. He's just this big, massive, beast.
Sexy Dexy.
Yeah. So the fumbles we already talked about. There's literally so many things on the new thing they released.
The biggest thing I've been crying for in Madden, and I hope they made some progress. There has to be a bigger difference between O-line, D-line interaction for run versus offense, run versus pass plays.
This says the blocking, especially with the run game,
because in Madden,
has gotten way better.
You can just load up your D-line with guys that are fast with good pass rush moves, and they just shut down the run, just destroy the run. And all Madden cares about in the run for defense is that you have enough people in the box. That's all it cares about. I want to see actual O-line, D-line interactions that have ratings that coincide and show the difference.
Yeah, they said they've implemented the hit everything technology into blocking, enabling a new level of versatility for blockers with the ability to chip block, enter and exit double teams on the fly. Blockers can seamlessly navigate through defenders and blocking interactions, preventing
I'm not worried about
blockers.
navigating through defenders. I'm worried about navigating to defenders. Will fullbacks actually block?
It all goes into what they're saying here.
It was bad last year it was literally a glitch where you would, if you audibled or if you just had your tight end blocking over the tackle, it would glitch and they wouldn't do anything and they would be an edge blitz immediately.
Yeah. Well, say your running back is like going head to head with a linebacker and they're kind of pushing each other. Your lineman will now come up if they're there and give them a shove and start pushing the pile forward, vice versa. What else was there?
I wonder how they do that. If there's going to be like a button jam style thing, or you got to time it, or if it's just going to be however many people, or it's just going to be a random animation where you can't defeat it.
It just says blockers' ability to join in on gang tackle or push the pile forward. So I'm assuming you just got to get close to it. You'll probably end up joining.
So I wonder if you're playing with multiple people for fun, like 2v2 or something, you can run into a pile behind, and like the physics will look right, and you're pushing.
Yeah, especially if it's on, and then it's just 2v1 at that point. Whoever has more people should win the pile push.
It'd be nice if weight actually matters. And
I was about to bring that up.
Pounds and you come running into the pile, it'll move. But if you're Devontae Smith, you'll just run into the pile and fall down.
So I did see an actual in the video they released of weight mattering on regular tackles. At least they're saying the bigger, like especially defensive tackles, if they're tackling a smaller running back, they're going to be literally like engulfing them. Like you're going to be able to see the size difference.
There should be a rating for weight should matter. And then there should be like a
strength. I guess it would just weight, be
hit. Yeah, like there should be I guess it would be hit power, because I was gonna say some smaller guys can hit hard and knock a big guy over. Like Derrick Henry should be able to truck like anybody who's like under 180 pounds, but there are some guys who are 180 pounds that are just missiles and they will knock a big guy off their feet. So
if they fly in,
yeah, I guess that should just be hit power or something.
And they're running 20 miles an hour. It helps.
It shouldn't be that hard for them to program like a momentum rating.
Momentum, that's a good one.
I
was thinking of like what would be.
It takes your strength, your size, your trucking versus your hit power, and does an equation
versus their strength, size, and hit power. And instead but
I want to see some real collisions.
Anytime there's a tackle, it's just the Hangover, whether it's like Rain Man, the numbers coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Madden can't handle it. PS5 start to blow up.
Oh God!
Just because you tried to take a 200-pound cornerback into Derrick Henry. One thing I don't like that I've seen with Madden gameplay, I haven't really seen anything, but is the stupid diving throws that Josh Allen and Mahomes are doing.
So I was going to bring that up, that they did add that I'm assuming we could draft a quarterback that could have that ability too, though, in a franchise mode.
Well,
they really are revamping franchise, they say.
I just don't like that animation.
In the video I saw, they were doing that animation like every other throw. They were just for no reason. They would be like a little outside the pocket, and they go and sling the ball inaccurately.
Inaccurately, yeah, it's hilarious. So another thing with the blocking is the new AI system is built on counting defenders in the box and then matching up with each available blocker based on the blocking scheme, which means the most dangerous defenders, so the ones that are the closest are the ones that are actually going to block. They're not going to just go for some random guy on the right when there's somebody either straight ahead or to the left that's closer.
I believe when I see it.
Yeah,
Hopefully they do the same thing.
Overhauled open field blocking.
Hopefully they do that with like zone defense. They kind of fixed that last year, but not really.
Yeah, and then defensive back coverage, stuff like that. There's new quarterback AI. Apparently, there's also a jump throw animation, stuff like that. So we'll probably be dealing with the most annoying CPU quarterbacks of all time. But
hey, they're sliders for a reason.
Yeah.
5 quarterback accuracy. It would be nice if they made the CPU do something a little bit more than checkdowns.
Yeah, so historically QBs have only had 3 pass lead points to choose from. Now there are 12 possible points a QB will evaluate to make the big play.
Huh.
Okay, so that kind of goes into what I was just saying then.
For example, they say lead a seam vertical inside against cover 3 drop.
So I'm making the AI too smart.
Conservative trait, for example, will throw to partially covered receivers if it's a star wide receiver, they're down multiple possessions, or a receiver who isn't far downfield. They may also throw short of the sticks or check down in third in long situations. Example, Kirk Cousins. That's literally what it says.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
Those are like going, when we're playing against these AIs with how their traits all interact and all that.
Yeah, I like that they have traits. I mean, they've had traits, but it never really seemed to matter for the CPU.
Yeah, exactly. To actually use these traits and apply them to the game. And then they really made a point to talk about the post-play emotion. I'm like, dude, nobody really cares that much anymore about these celebrations. You can only do so much. And then they keep adding more. I mean, it's cool, but then they also added...
Just make a good game.
They've added 70-plus new offensive formations that contain 500-plus new plays across all 32 NFL team playbooks. So 500-plus new plays.
I'll take that.
My thing is, they better add the Derrick Henry pop pass.
I'm sure they did.
That'll probably be hard for them to add.
Figure it out, EA.
Yeah, EA.
All right.
Especially as you're branching off.
That's some exciting news for the future of Madden. Hopefully it's not another letdown. Or that will be it, EA. I'll never give you my money again.
Because we'll just wait and get it on Game Pass from now on. It is what it is. Just give us the loophole. We will take advantage of it.
We will exploit it.
Thank you. Oh, timeout. Pause. Did you guys see that Xbox officially announced they've been losing the game console wars since 2001.
Well, it's true. It's a fact.
Because they've been in court dealing with that whole Activision Blizzard buyout, for the FTC. And they had their own record saying we've been losing the console battle. Now all your Xbox over PS people can shut up.
Yeah, that's unknown.
We're PlayStation folks, but we play all because we're not haters.
We're idiots.
We don't discriminate here.
But we know what's the best out of what we got.
Even though a certain video game, not going to talk about it, coming out in September is only on Xbox.
Talk about Star crap. Yeah, nobody cares about Star crap.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
That'll do, Negative. Pig. That'll do.
All right. That does it for the show.
I tried so hard to just say that'll do, and I was like,
yeah, I know. You say you couldn't help but say pig. You couldn't help but say pig. I was looking.
That's why there's a small little pause.
I heard the pause. The pause was very, very.
Hey, I said
noticeable.
I said we were going to start doing one movie quote at the end of every episode.
All right,
that was mine.
All right, stay going. Stay golden, Pony Boy.
No, I already done it for the show. You just ruined it.
That does it for the show. This is No Interference. We're your host, Westside, Big Sass and the Bull. As always, thank you for watching or listening to the show. If you enjoyed us, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on social media at The NI Show. We're on Instagram and Twitter. And again, thank you for everyone that gives us a listen. That'll do it for today. So adios.
See ya.
Peace.